The stretch command is often misunderstood by AutoCAD users because at first glance it appears to be selecting more than what we intended. When it comes right down to it, the stretch command is nothing more than an endpoint mover. We're going to take a look at the stretch command. I'm going to come up and click my Open icon. And inside the Chapter 9 folder within the Exercise Files directory, I'm going to come down and go to the number 6 drawing. This is our stretch demonstration. I will highlight that drawing and click Open to bring them up on screen. Now this drawing is currently set to architectural units. I know that because I created the drawing, but I can prove it to you. In case you don't believe me, I can come down to Format and select Units. Yes, in fact, it is architectural. Let me click OK. I've got a rectangle on my screen. Let's say I'd like to make this rectangle 3 inches longer. I'm going to do that by using the stretch command. To launch the stretch command, I'm going to come over to my Modify toolbar and click the stretch icon. When I do, AutoCAD's asking me to select objects. If we look at the command line, we can see that we're supposed to select our objects to stretch by using a crossing window. Okay, let's do that. I would like to stretch my rectangle 3 units to the right. So I'm going to click off in space. I'll click once, and I'll make a crossing window around these endpoints. The stretch command is an endpoint mover. So even though I'm using a crossing selection, the only part of my entities that's going to be changed are the endpoints that fall within this selection. Let me click to finish my window. Notice the entire rectangle highlights. Let me right-click to finish the selection. Now AutoCAD's asking me to specify base point. It's just like the move command. I'm going to move up, and I'm going to use the end point right here. I've got a running object snap, so I'll left-click. And notice as I move my cursor, I am stretching that rectangle, and the only part that's really being adjusted are the endpoints that fell within that selection. Now I'd like this to be somewhat accurate, so I'm going to come down and click my Ortho button. Now I can take and pull this guy to the right, type in 3 inches, and hit Enter. I'm going to back up. We're going to look at another example. Let me pan down. Let's stretch this rectangle. I'd like this guy to be 3 units longer as well. Once again, I'm going to come over and launch my stretch command. As soon as the command comes up, AutoCAD's asking me to select objects. Once again, I'm going to use a crossing window. I'm going to click right here. I'm going to create my window around the endpoints that I want to move. And then I'll click to finish my window. Notice half my screen is highlighting. Let me right-click to finish the selection. Even though all of that geometry is highlighted, the only parts that are going to be affected are the endpoints that fell within the selection. So AutoCAD's asking me to specify base point. Once again, I'll grab the end point of the rectangle right here. As I move my cursor, notice that only the endpoints are being affected. So I'm going to take and pull in this direction, and I'm going to type in 3 inches, Enter. I've just stretched that rectangle. Let's try and use the stretch command in a practical example. I'm going to back up a little bit and we'll pan over. Let me zoom in on this geometry. Let's say I'm a furniture designer and I've just finished creating this entertainment center and I would like to create a matching bookshelf. Well, I don't want to go through and redraft any geometry. I'm going to convert this entertainment center into a bookshelf using the stretch command. First things first, I don't need these components anymore, so I'm going to hit my Erase button. And I'll erase my components. Let me select these guys and we'll get rid of them. Let me right-click to finish the selection. I don't need this divider. Let's get rid of that. I'm going to click Erase, and I'll do a nice crossing window across my divider, which selects those entities. You know what? I also don't need my drawer handles or the divider between the drawers. I'm going to create a crossing window right around here. This will select all of those entities. Let me finish the window by clicking, and then I will right-click to finish the selection. All right, let's use the stretch command to create a bookshelf. I'm going to come over and launch the stretch command by clicking the stretch icon in the Modify toolbar. AutoCAD's now asking me to select objects. I'm going to move to the upper right and click. And I'm going to pull down to the lower left and create a crossing window around this geometry. Let me click to finish the window. I'll right-click to finish my selection. And I want to stretch this geometry from the end point right here, and we'll bring it over to the end point right here. Now that we've got the outer part of our bookshelf finished, let's finish the shelves themselves. I'm going to launch the stretch command one more time. select objects. I'm going to make a nice crossing window around the ends of these shelves. Let me finish the window by clicking, and then I'll right-click to finish the selection. All right, now it's time to specify my base point. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I would like to stretch these from the end point right here, so I'll click, and where would I like to place these? I'm going to use a perpendicular object snap. I would like to stretch them such that they end up perpendicular to this vertical line. So let me come over and click my perpendicular icon, and then we'll come back. I'll put my cursor on the line and click. If we look at the stretch command as an endpoint mover, it makes much more sense when selecting our entities and modifying our geometry. As you can see, if you can successfully use the stretch command, you can make significant changes to your drawings in absolutely no time.